name is Michelle Stonecaste, and today I'll be guiding you through the best practices for creating and managing secure passwords. Each of us plays an important role in protecting our own and the organization's digital assets. As we all know, the cybersecurity landscape is constantly evolving, and it's crucial that we stay informed and aware. Let us dive in and discuss how to enhance our security positions for creating and managing passwords. The objective today is to educate the employees, you, about the importance of password security and provide guidelines for creating and managing secure passwords. We'll be going over the importance of password security, the best practices for creating secure passwords, managing and protecting our passwords, two-factor authentication, which is 2FA, and multi-factor authentication, MFA. And then we'll go over a conclusion and some action items that we can all do to enhance our security. The importance of password security. Passwords are the first line of defense against unauthorized access to our systems and sensitive information. Weak passwords can be easily compromised, leading to data breaches, financial losses, and organizational reputational damage. So the best practices for creating secure passwords are: use complex characters, including combination of uppercase, lowercase letters and numbers, and special characters. Avoid common words or phrases. Stay away from easily guessable passwords such as password, fingerprint, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, birthdays, your pet names, your child's birthday. Make passwords lengthy. Aim for at least 12 characters, if not longer. Longer passwords are harder to crack. Create unique passwords and avoid using the same password for multiple accounts. If one account is compromised, using unique passwords prevents unauthorized access to the other accounts that you own. Change your passwords regularly, periodically. Change your passwords ideally every 90 days to reduce the risk of compromise. And then consider using passphrases. Instead of using single words, create passphrases by combining multiple words. For example, blue elephants, park 456 is stronger than just blue 456 exclamation point. Use a password manager. Consider using a reputable password manager to securely store and manage your passwords. Password managers generate and store complex passwords for you, making it easier to maintain secure accounts. They can also search on the internet to see if any of your passwords have reached the black dark web. And then if they come up with a password that has, they'll prompt you to change it, which is very handy. Here are some examples of good and bad passwords. As you can see, good passwords have the combination of uppercase, lowercase, letters, numbers, and symbols. And then there's some that are long, including special characters. And then if you have a passphrase like long password rule, I mean, don't use that one, but that's an example. Bad passwords, the word password is not a good password. Don't do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, not a good password either. Don't do it. I love you and similar common phrases like that, also not a good idea for passwords. With managing and protecting passwords, keep passwords private from others, refrain from writing them down, and never leave them in easily found locations. Examples are under your keyboard, under your mouse pad, under your mouse, behind your monitor, and behind at the backside of your computer tower, or under your speakers. Like, those are not good places. Those are common places people will look. Store them securely using a password manager. Be cautious of phishing attempts with a PH And never provide your password in response to unsolicited requests. Most reputable companies do not ask you for your password, and they even have warnings saying that they do not. Log in only to trusted sites, not from email links and emails. Multi-factor authentication, MFA. There's also two-factor authentication, which involves two factors, obviously, but multi-factor authentication is at least two, if not more. So enable the multi-factor authentication whenever possible to add an extra layer. And nowadays, most secure logins are requiring multi-factor authentication because it just keeps the cyber criminals at bay so much better. Multi-factor 2FA requires users to provide a second form of verification, such as a code sent to a mobile phone in addition to their password. And multi-factor authentication requires users to provide at least two forms of verification, if not more. And you have, in addition to your password, you have something you are, something you own, and where you are, like location-based. Now, I'm going to go over a few types of social engineering attacks so that everybody understands why we have these best practices in line. It's because there was a reason. Cyber criminals found out how to crack some passwords, and so we had to be more creative. And we learned from the cyber criminals, and this is what we get. So, types of social engineering attacks. We've got password guessing. The attempt to guess a user's password by trying various combinations or commonly used passwords. Brute force attack, that's using automated tools to systematically try all possible combinations of characters to guess a password. AI can help with this a lot nowadays. Dictionary attack, using pre-generated list of commonly used passwords or dictionary words to attempt to gain unauthorized access. And in the past, or maybe even currently, a practice was opening up the dictionary and then just picking a password, and that would be your password, or picking two words and that'd be your password. So cyber criminals could just upload the dictionary and use those words with a computer system and do a dictionary attack and get your password. Credential stuffing, and yes, it's stuffing, is using stolen credentials from one website to attempt to gain unauthorized access to accounts on another website. And that is why we use different passwords for different accounts. Phishing with a PH is sending deceptive emails or messages to trick users into revealing their login credentials. Cloning is creating an exact copy of a legitimate website to trick users into entering their login credentials. If you have a moment where you log into, you go to your website you want to log into, you log in with your password, and then something happens and it like blinks or flashes, and then you have to log in again, there's a good chance that someone cloned the website, the front page, took your login information, and then redirected you back to the site that you were going for, at which point you have to re-put in your login information. If that happens, just go ahead and change your password. It could have been a blip in the internet, but it also could have been a password attack. There's also farming, which is redirecting users from legitimate websites to fraudulent ones without their knowledge, often through DNS hijacking. Keylogging is monitoring and recording keystrokes entered by the users, including passwords, to obtain login credentials. And they can get really creative with that one and don't even have to be in your space to watch your keys. Now, for the remedies. Remedies for social engineering attacks. For password guessing, You want to implement account lockout policies and encourage the use of complex and unique passwords. Implementing account lockout policies is like you can only get the password wrong 5 times and then you're locked out for a half hour to an hour, or depending on the circumstance, you may have to call IT support to have it reset. At which point you'll have a security asking some questions and looking around. With the brute force attack, you want to implement long, strong passwords, policies, and also, again, with the user account lockout policies. For a dictionary attack, you need to enforce password complexity requirements and then implement account lockout policies. For credential stuffing, you need to enable multi-factor authentication, monitor for unusual login activity. So if you're monitoring all the login activity, you'll be able to see if somebody's tried to log into their account like 15, 30, 120 times if you don't have your lockout policy set in any case, and at the wrong time of day. And that's a good hint for security to realize there might be somebody trying to hammer in and get into an account, and then they can go through the necessary steps to secure the system better. For phishing, you just need to educate all the users about recognizing phishing attempts. This is where we have to educate the employees, the users, the person on the other side of the computer, so that they could use email filtering. Like, they will be able to acknowledge whether it's a phishing attempt or not. But then there's also email filtering and anti-phishing tools that can also be implemented on the side of the email server. Cloning. So educate users about verifying website authenticity. Use website security measures such as the SSL and the TLS certificates. And this is when you go to a website and you look at the bar, the HTML. If it has a HTTPS, then you know that it's a secure website with secure transmission. And if you look through the address part, does it have any like misspellings or weird terminology that is a little abnormal? You know, rather than Wells Fargo, it's Wells Targo or something. Those are things just to watch out for. So it is important to just get a habit of looking at the web browser address in order to see if there's anything wrong. For farming, use domain name system, DNS, security to authenticate DNS responses. Employ web filtering to block access to known malicious websites. So that way the users can't even accidentally stumble into the black web and get to a dangerous malicious website, because they'll just be blocked. For keylogging, you need to use anti-keylogging software and also educate users about the risk of keylogging malware, which can be passed along to the computer through downloading, through clicking on links. So, and then the malware will just track all your typing basically, and from there they'll be able to gather enough data for your birthday, your birth certificate, your social security number, and your passwords and passwords for everything, and the multiple types of passwords and the type of passwords that you like to use. So if you have a theme that you run with, they'll know your theme and you'll need to change it. Description of our social engineering attack remedies. For account lockout policies, this is you lock users out after a certain number of failed attempt logins, and it can be for half hour, an hour, whatever you choose. And then also have complex, unique passwords, which are harder to guess. Strong password policies. This is where you mandate the use of complex passwords, and you again use the account lockout policies to prevent repeated login attempts. Password complexity requirements mandate that the use of a combination of uppercase, lowercase, letter, numbers, and special characters. And then also you have the account lockout policies preventing repeated login attempts. A multi-factor authentication, that's where it adds an extra layer of security beyond just a password. and you monitor for unusual login activity, which helps detect and mitigate unauthorized access attempts. User education helps users identify phishing emails and avoid falling victim to them. Email filtering and anti-phishing tools help block phishing emails before they even reach the user's inbox. User education helps users verify the authenticity of websites before entering login credentials. And the SSL and TLS certificates encrypt data transmitted between the user's browser and the website, protecting them from interception. DNS security adds an additional layer of security to the DNS by digitally signing DNS responses, ensuring that authenticity. Web filtering also helps block access to known malicious websites, reducing the risk of users being redirected to fraudulent sites. Anti-keylogging software it helps detect and prevent keylogging malware from capturing keystrokes. And then with user education, you can raise awareness about the dangers of keylogging and encourage safe browsing practices to avoid infection. So conclusion and action items. Remember that password security is everybody's responsibility. Review your current passwords and update any that do not meet the recommended guidelines. Enable two-factor authentication and multi-factor authentication on all applicable accounts. Stay vigilant and report any suspicious activity related to passwords or account security. So thank you for your attention, and let's work together to strengthen our password security practices. And remember, the two handouts on your way out, there's one with password instructions and examples, and another with types of password cyber attacks, so you can stay aware of why we're implementing these rules and guidelines. And if anybody would like a copy of the slides, you may, and here are my works cited, so you can go and look up the resources if you wish. This concludes the security briefing on password security. Thank you, and we can take any questions at this time.